All right, let's do this. Brand new Flyers Daily for the 3rd of December, 2023, as the Flyers get a shootout win. Second time this year they've gotten a shootout win. Are you kidding me? And the first time this year they've come from behind to get a shootout win. Details in a second. Flyers Daily, presented by Ticketmaster. Make more memories live. They get another shootout win, 2 for 2 in the shootout this year. What is going on? Maybe all they needed was a rebuild to figure out this shootout thing, because since it came into the league, it's been a huge struggle for the Flyers. Not this year. They come away with a 4-3 shootout win over the Pittsburgh Penguins. And Sidney Crosby ends up with no points in this game. That's a rarity. It feels like every time the Flyers play the Pens, Crosby ends up on the score sheet in some way, shape, or form. I mean, he's got 124 points in now 84 games against the Flyers. Didn't add to it last night, though, as the Flyers outlast the Pens 4-3 in a game that was back and forth. It's the first time this year the Flyers win a game where they have not scored first. So they come back from a deficit to get the win, and they'll take it. They'll take the 2 points. I like these home-and-home games because there's a little bit – I think the teams go into the first game of a home-and-home knowing there's two. So there's a little bit of extra oomph in that part of it. And then obviously in the second of the home-and-home, there's always a little bit of scar tissue that's built up, and that rears its head rather early in the second game. Then this one goes extras, 65 plus the shootout. Flyers in the game, they end up out shooting the Penguins 34-33. Penguins came back in the third period, piled a lot of shots at Sam Ersson, and he did a really nice job. Only had 3 shots against in the first period, but he stayed sharp. And once again, like his last performance, extremely patient. And we're going to talk in a minute about what makes Sam Ersson a good shootout goalie, because he's proving to be exactly that. Flyers got dominated in the faceoff circle. Basically 62% of the faceoffs were won by the Penguins. But the Penguins did open the scoring. Nothing in the first. Head to the second period, and 14:31 in, Chris Letang gets one that's deflected off the stick of Travis Sanheim, almost like a high tip play, except for Sanheim plays for the Flyers. And that put the Penguins up 1-0. But Owen Tippett answered on a breakaway and snaps a little backhand by Tristan Jarry, his 8th of the season. Tyson Foerster, once again, a really good stretch pass for Tyson Foerster to find Tippett in behind the Penguin defense. He did that with Travis Konechny a couple of games ago. Tyson Foerster showing the ability to distribute the puck as well. Then Jake Gensel, 150 into the third period, gives the Penguins the lead once again, but Scott Laughton shorthanded. Flyers just continue being able to strike when shorthanded. Scott Laughton picked up his 2nd of the year to get the game tied at 2. Nick Seeler picked up the assist. And then, boy, we talk about special teams and how much they can help a team that is bereft of, just pure goal-scoring talent. Well, they get the shorthanded goal with Laughton. They get a breakaway goal from Owen Tippett, and then they get a power play goal. 2 power play goals 2 games ago. They get another one here from Tyson Foerster. All of a sudden, Forster's got 4. Power play goal for him. Cam York and Sean Couturier pick up the assist. That puts the Flyers up 3-2 in the game. And since Cam York has gone back onto that power play, it's starting to look a lot better. He's probably the most natural guy to be that defenseman QB on the power play. And it strikes there, and it's a big goal because it gives the Flyers a 3-2 lead. But then with the goaltender pulled, Jake Gensel gets his 2nd of the game, 9th of the season at 19:39, able to bat a puck out of the air. Rust and Malkin pick up the assist, and we got to head to overtime. Overtime, back and forth, some big saves at both ends of the ice. Really, Sam Ersson busier in that overtime, but makes every save that comes to him, including a couple of big ones. Made a really nice right pad save on Chris Letang on a cross-ice 2-on-1 pass. That kept the puck out of the net. We'd head to the shootout. Shootout starts with Tyson Foerster. He's unable to beat Tristan Jarry. Gensel unable to beat. They actually logged it as off the crossbar of Sam Ersson, but that's a piece of the goalie's equipment. We'll take the bars. And then Sean Couturier gets the only goal of the shootout. It's the game winner for the Flyers. Yeah, second shot in the shootout. Sean Couturier takes that game winner. Crosby then goes. He misses. Travis Konechny unable to beat Jarry, and then Brian Rust has to keep it alive for the Pittsburgh Penguins. But Sam Ersson, like in the last game where he got into overtime and then a shootout, it makes all the saves. That was that 1-0 game against the New York Islanders where Ersson was really good. And once again here tonight, he's playing a low margin for error game in a really tight game against a division opponent. And it just simply great in the shootout. And what makes Sam Ersson so good in the shootout? Well, I just think the part of it, and look at him, he just looks so patient in the shootout. He waits for, he doesn't fall for that first or second move, some of the shoulder movements or the head or the leg kicks. He doesn't follow those. He's really down on the puck and just very patient. And that's been the reason why I think he is so good in the shootout. And boy, the results speak for themselves. I mean, 7 shootout attempts against, no goals given up for Sam Ersson. There was 4 in that game against the New York Islanders. That went an extra round. But he's just been really good. And it's a trait that you wouldn't think would be attributable to a young goaltender really making his way in the NHL like Sam Ersson is. He got some time last year, but this year makes the team out of camp, and he comes in, gets off to a really kind of rocky start to the season, but then starts to find a way to get himself mentally ready for games, even in the backup role. I think that 1-0 game against the Islanders earned him this start, in the sense that it didn't come, you didn't have to wait for the next back-to-back 5 games or an extended layoff. Why run Carter Hart into the ground when you can get quality starts from a young goaltender like this? I'm not saying you should split it. I don't believe that's the case. To me, it's 3 starts to every one is about the equation for the Flyers, in my opinion, right now, is what they should do. And, Sam Ersson's earning it right now. And players play in front of him with structure. They have faith that the guy back there, just like they do when Carter Hart's in there, that he's going to make the saves and he's going to give his team a chance, even if there are breakdowns. And that's a key component for a Flyers team that likes to sell out a little bit offensively, push the pace. They're going to give up the odd man rushes. But if you got a goaltender back there that is going to handle those and bail you out when need be, not going to bail you out all the time, but bail you out when need be, then you can continue to be creative and be aggressive offensively. If every time you make a mistake offensively, it ends up in the back of your net and the horn goes off on the away, the whole thing, you're going to stop doing it eventually, because it's going to becoming an impediment to you winning. But when you can do that and your goaltenders can bail you out, it lets the players play free of mind and be able to take on that risk, because the risk is worth the reward. And sometimes, like I said, you'll pay. We've seen that in games like the Ranger game. But Sam Ersson, really another mature performance as he makes all 3 saves in the shootout. Flyers grab the 2 points. They'll go to Pittsburgh coming up on Monday. A 4-3 shootout win over the Pittsburgh Penguins on a night when they held Sidney Crosby off the board completely. That's good news. All right, why do these games mean so much? One of the things you've heard John Tortorella talk about last season and certainly into this season is that the team needs to play meaningful games. You really find out about players, and you find out about, what's in their belly, their compete level, how they handle meaningful games when a mistake can cost you the game, or a big play or an aggressive play can win you a game, when it means something in the standings. And I know the team wanted to play as many meaningful games as possible this year. We'll see where it all goes when you come to trade deadline and getting close to wild card this or blah, blah, all that stuff. We'll see how that all plays out. But these games, Metropolitan Division games, and they're in this gauntlet of Metropolitan Division opponents. I mean, they played Columbus, the Islanders, the Rangers, the Islanders, Carolina, New Jersey. That's 6 straight games against the Metro Division. Then tonight, obviously, or Pittsburgh game, 1 of the 2 is 7. And then coming up on Monday night is game 8 of this 8 straight against the division. These games are important because ultimately divisional games are how you are going to be able to put yourself in position to make playoffs. I don't know if that's this year. I don't know. But what I do know is that when the team does get themselves into a position, God willing, very soon, it's going to be these divisional games, and games like that against the Penguins, games like the one against the Rangers. Even though it was a 3-1 loss, it was an incredibly meaningful game to learn from it. They're the top team in the division. I think they're the top team in the NHL, in all fairness. And the 2 games you play against the Islanders, very little margin for error. The game against New Jersey, you come back and you battle back in that game. You lose in overtime. And those games, I think you're going to learn a lot about your players. Your players are going to learn a lot about themselves and how they react in those situations. And part of the rebuild is learning how to react in those situations, how to handle those moments before they're of epic proportion, meaning So I think that game against the Penguins, the 4-3 shootout win, I think it's a really important game. I think the game against the Islanders is important. I think the loss against the Rangers was an important game. All these games in this division are going to mean a lot going forward. I think they translate themselves going forward. Now we got Monday against the Penguins again, where you just held Crosby off the score sheet. You damn near held off Malkin off the score sheet, too. He gets an assist on that goal that ties it from Gensel, his second of the game. But, going into that game now, there's going to be a lot on the line. The Penguins don't want to get swept by the Flyers. They don't want to be in a situation where all of a sudden, they're trying to battle for their playoff lives, get their legs under them, and they end up getting swept. So we'll see how they handle it on Monday. We'll see how the Flyers handle it against the Penguins in a position to take 2 of 2. So these are very meaningful games. I think very important hockey for the Flyers. And another really important game we'll play Monday. They're going to go on the road after that. And I don't want to say Arizona, Colorado, and Nashville don't mean as much, but they don't mean as much. They're not division games. They're still important games, but they don't mean a ton. All right, so let's wrap up Flyers Daily there. Wow, what a fun game that was. I can't wait for Monday already. That's episode 1001. Everybody, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you coming up tomorrow. We'll preview Flyers Penguins Game 2 with Bill Meltzer. Mondays with Meltzer. So join us then on a brand new Flyers Daily.